Today I am here with an instrument that, as you can see, is definitely not a piano, although it is an indirect ancestor to the piano. This is a harpsichord, and while it's not an instrument from the 1700s, it is still a harpsichord, and I thought I would do a video on it because there's actually been a particular commenter on my channel who's been requesting for a very long time for me to do a harpsichord, and I haven't been able to, not because I didn't want to. I think harpsichords are really cool instruments, but they're just really difficult to find. But today I finally have found one, and I thought I would open it up, talk about the insides and how it works, and also play a couple songs on it for you. Now, I have this instrument closed because I thought it was kind of interesting that this music desk was a separate piece, and so you can, it seems like it folds over as well, but it's also a separate piece, so if you don't want to fold it over, there's like a screw holding it in place, but this has a hinge, so I think it can fold over, but if you don't want to fold it over, you can simply take it out and then put it up on top of the instrument if you wanted to. This is how I found it when I came into the store, so that's how I'm going to leave it when I'm done, but for now I'm going to move it over here, and I thought I'd show you how it opens up because it's a bit different from a piano. It's actually more like the way a Hammond B3 opens because it's got two different parts. We've got a little handle here that then opens up, this hinges back, and then this folds down here, and then the lid, which weighs nothing compared to a grand piano's lid, opens up like this, and the lid prop is slightly different. It's very dainty, and it goes into this little tiny hole right here, just like so, and that's how the lid goes up. On a piano, the lid prop goes into a hole that's more up here, but on the harpsichord, it goes into a hole that's right about down there. So now you can see the inside workings of the harpsichord, and let me give you a bit of a closer up look at the insides of the harpsichord. Now there's a few cool things about this harpsichord I wanted to talk about before I play, and the first one is the music desk, which I have over here. It's a separate piece, kind of like you have on a grand piano, but it's a much smaller, honestly, more dainty kind of thing. It looks like it folds away as well. Somehow, I'm not going to bother with that. But you can remove it very easily, and then it can sit right here. My finger's in the way, so I can't really do that. But it can sit right here, if my finger's not in the way. I think it's supposed to fit right there. So then you can put some music on it. You can even slide it forwards and backwards if you want to. It's a rather dainty little piece. The harpsichord is a dainty instrument, unlike a piano. A piano is big and beefy and large and huge, but the harpsichord was a very dainty instrument, although it was much less dainty than a clavichord, the previous keyboard instrument that they had at the time. So this is what the music desk is like, and it would work perfectly fine for a little book. If you had more than maybe 3 sheets of paper, you probably wouldn't be able to put them all up at once. But hey, it's a harpsichord. So I'm going to remove this so we can see the internal workings of the instrument. We've got some trumpet music going on in the background, which is pretty cool. This shop offers lessons. So we can remove this as well. This is a piece of wood that has some felt underneath of it. I'm not sure it has any other functionality other than keeping these plectrums in place. And these can be removed. I'm not going to do that, but you can technically just lift them up and pull them right out. And basically the way this works is, like I said, it has a plectrum. So as you can see, there's a small little tooth on each key, and that is the plectrum device. So when you push the key up, it lifts up the string. Let me disable the second plectrum. It lifts up the string, and then when it comes down, it hinges. It hinges away, so when you drop it down, it doesn't make a second sound. It just plops down, and this little bit of felt here is your damper, and it looks like that just can be lifted right out if you wanted to. Now what's neat about this harpsichord, and I'm not terribly familiar with harpsichords, so I don't know a whole lot about them, but, oh, that one is sticking up for some reason. I did not do that. There we go. I fixed it. So the interesting thing about this harpsichord is there's actually 2 sets of plectrums, and there's a couple little levers here, one of which activates the sets of mutes, and one of which activates the second plectrum. So if we look in the back here, you'll see this is the main plectrum, and then this here is a second plectrum. So if you move this lever this way, it moves this second set of plectrums underneath this other string, and then when you push the note, there's 2 sounds. They're both tuned the same way, and one's hits slightly before the other if you push them up. But if you push them, it likes to do that for some reason. If you push them, and that's probably why this is here, this wood felt, because if you push the string up, that's why this felt is here. If it's not there, the plectrums will fly up and stick in place. If the felt is there, they will not do that as much. So I'm just going to put this back. There's arrows on it that probably line up with the arrows here. So I'm just going to put that back so that it doesn't do that anymore. But basically there's a second set of plectrums there, so when you play each note, it has 2 strings vibrating rather than just one. As you can see, that piece of wood is moving. when the plectrum comes up and hits it, it's a little bit wobbly there. But that's why that piece of wood and felt is there, so that when the plectrum comes up, it bounces back down and doesn't get stuck up. If I move this lever this way, the second plectrum will not be active, and you can kind of hear a volume difference. It's rather subtle, and the camera audio is probably, the mic on the camera is probably adjusting for the increase in volume, so you might not be able to hear much of a difference, but there is one. And there's also a little small set of felts here. They're very tiny, and what those do is they completely mute the string, but they do make it slightly quieter. So if I take the second set of plectrums, disable them, and then enable the mutes, it's even quieter still. It has a slightly muted tone, there's less sustain. There's actually a lot of sympathetic resonance in this instrument. Listen to all that. That's sort of cool. And then you can disable the mutes, and the note will sustain longer and be louder. Now there's also another lever over here which seems to move the main set of plectrums, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what this one does, because I don't know why you'd want to... I guess you could maybe disable the first set of plectrums but enable the second set so that you'd get a different tone, but this one I think needs to move over a little bit more, because even when you move it over... Oh, now it's working right. Earlier some of the notes were actually still playing. Maybe I wasn't moving it over enough. See, some of them still do play. So now if I activate the second set of plectrums, I guess that one, it's a little finicky and I could use a slight bit of adjustment, but I'm not sure the tone is different from this set of plectrums to this set. This one's louder. I'm not sure. So let me know what these levers do. I know what these two over here do, but what is this one supposed to do? Am I right that you disable the main set of plectrums and then you can enable the second set for a different tone? What is this lever over here for? I'm not 100% sure. Now, as you know, the harpsichord does not have a harp in it like a piano does. It does not have a metal cast iron frame. As you can see, quite obviously, there is no cast iron frame. In a piano, the frame would come all the way up here, go all the way down. It would come all the way around the rim of the instrument. But here, there is no cast iron frame. So harpsichords are known for being rather delicate instruments as far as tuning is concerned. And that is why inside of this bench here, if you open it up, there is a bunch of tuning equipment. You've got special hammers, all kinds of little tools used for repairs and all kinds of cool stuff like that. And this is actually a cushion that you can swing around in some manner, and I guess just like that. And now we have a cushion that you can sit on, and I guess that could raise up for smaller students. So for the first piece I'm going to play on this harpsichord is going to be roughly period correct. I'm going to play a piece that was harmonized by Bach. It was a hymn, and while it was originally written for an organ, I kind of think it works on a harpsichord. Bach would have probably played and practiced on a clavichord at certain times in his life, and I think the song works pretty well on a harpsichord as well, so hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoyed that song, and what's kind of cool is that this harpsichord is actually, for the most part, quite in tune. I'm sure that you could probably go through it and fine-tune it a little bit, but there's no notes that are radically out of tune, and so the people here at the store most definitely probably come through from time to time and keep this instrument in tune, and there's actually a lot of tuning supplies and repair parts inside of this bench, and so, which is pretty cool, because if ever anything were to break or go out of tune, the stuff for it is right in here. Now, I thought I'd play another song on it, which I like to play on lots of different instruments. It works on piano, it works on celesta, it works on organ, and it also works on the harpsichord. And that music is the Davy Jones theme from the Pirates of the Caribbean. It really works on this instrument. It works on so many instruments, in fact, even though in the original movie, the theme I remember was on a music box type of sound. So I thought I'd play that for you on this harpsichord as well. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I think it works really well on the harpsichord. One thing I like about this harpsichord is you have these slight volume controls, and I thought that sounded kind of cool when I went from only using one string per note to then using two. And it kind of gave it a bit of a volume boost, and it also made it gave the sound a bit more of a complicated sound. And I really like the low end on this as well. It sounds pretty cool. Obviously nothing at all like a piano, of course, but it has a really, really neat sound. I don't know the model or make or era of this instrument at all. It looks like there used to be like a square-shaped logo here, or a sticker. It looks like it has come off, and there's no writing on the inside or under here or anything that talks about where it was made or when it was made or any kind of a maker's badge, which I find is kind of odd. Usually the companies that make these are very proud of what they do, and so usually it's plastered with badges. I found a harpsichord one time that had like 3 different logos on it, and I mean a clavichord, but this one has none. So if you know anything about perhaps who made this, if it looks familiar to you, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what you thought of the harpsichord and all kinds of stuff like that. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. You can go check out my channel. I've got lots of videos on pianos and organs and all kinds of cool stuff. And if you want to think about subscribing, you can do that. And if you do subscribe, thank you very much. And I'll see you in the next video. And after this this clip is over, you can there's some little stuff at the end here of me discovering how the harpsichord works, which you might enjoy watching. It's like a felt thing. Oh, it probably just keeps the plectrums from popping out. Okay, so that's what that does. So this mute. It's basically volume controls. It doesn't really change the tone that much. It's more of volume controls. I have to remember which thing is which. So this is one string. This is both strings. This is undampened. This is muted. See, because if you activate it so that it's only the one string, which happens to be the one that has the mute. Oh, the bench is literally caving in on me somehow. What is going on here? Like the lid is... Oh, it's not caving in, it's just got a hinge for some reason. Don't know why that is. Okay, I thought it was going to explode on me. So, basically, this is a mute that makes it quieter. So if you have only the single plectrum and then the mute on, it's going to be quieter, but if you disable the mute and you activate the second string, noticeably louder, which I think is pretty cool. Because the harpsichord, when you play a note gently, and when you play it loudly, there's no volume difference because it's a plectrum that's plucking the string and it's not affected by how hard you push the note. So these little levers over here actually give a small amount of dynamic control. And I'll show you how the inside of that works in a minute. It's a second box. Flip it around and it's a cushion. Okay, I gotcha. Gotcha. And then there's all this tuning stuff and brushes. That's pretty cool. Because I was wondering, why is it pivoting on me? That's why. It's a cushion. I've had some people on my channel want me to do harpsichords. In fact, I think there's one commenter on my channel who constantly comes along and says, hey, do harpsichord videos, harpsichords, I love them. And I love them too, they're really cool instruments, but unfortunately harpsichords are difficult to find. But as you can see, I actually have managed to find one. And it's not an original harpsichord from the 1700s, of course, but it's some sort of reproduction model, and it actually works very well, and of course sounds a lot like a real harpsichord would.